Everybody, Farlanok here to introduce you and give you a little info to our first narrative telephone game. For those of you who don't know how this game works, it's pretty simple. So basically, one person tells a story. That time it was me. And then I send it off to the next person. They have one chance to watch it, and then they record themselves immediately after retelling the story and send it on, and so forth and so forth. By the end, it tends to get a little bit silly. So to introduce our players today, like I said, I told the story, and I sent it to Chameleon of Silvermoon, Lord Darb of Dusk Hollow, Alistair of Dragon's Forge, Renegade of Obsidian Grove, a new player to Silvermoon, Patrick. He was courageously jumped in and wanted to participate, so big shout out to Patrick. And Lord Taraka to round us out at the end. And then after him, there will be a small recap and surprise. So I hope you all enjoy.
Greetings, Farlanok here to tell you the tale of my brother, Farlatuk. Now, Farlatuk was a miner by trade, mainly coal, but when he could spare the time, he would hunt for gems and riches. Now, one evening, while drinking in the Sitting Duck Tavern, Farlatuk was approached by a man in scarlet robes, who told him of 3 gems the size of his head. Farlatuk wasted no time and left that night. He followed the strange man's direction to the southernmost cave in the Red Mountains. Upon entering, he saw a horrible cave troll. He tried to sneak around, but to no avail. The cave troll put up a good fight, but in the end was slain by Farlatuk's hand. After making his way through the cave, he realized that this used to be a mine of some sort. And just as he was investigating, he walked right into a small village of goblins. After failing to sneak back out, the goblins noticed him and gave chase. As he was fleeing, he found his way to the cave-in emergency exit. He jumped down the hole, and as he was crawling to freedom, he stumbled upon a small tunnel leading to an even smaller chamber with 3 head-sized gems, an emerald, a diamond, and a ruby stuck into the wall. Farlatuk approached the gems with his pickaxe in hand when he heard a voice inside of his head. "I am the Emerald of Strength. What have you done to earn me?" "I killed a troll with the might of my arm," he replied, and the gem relented. Next, he heard, "I am the Diamond of Intelligence. What have you done to earn me?" "I used my knowledge of mines to escape a tribe of goblins to find you," and the gem relented. And finally, he heard, "I am the Ruby of Charisma. What have you done to earn me?" He thought for a moment and replied, "Look, I have 10 dwarflings from 6 ex-wives. Why do you think I'm risking my life for gems the size of my head?" The gem relented. And so is the tale of Farlatok, the ever-indebted.
Chameleon here to tell you about my brother, Farlatok. Farlatok was a miner. He mined mainly coal, but sometimes he liked to go after gems. Late one night, he went into a tavern, and he met a man in scarlet robes who told him about 3 gems the size of his head. And so he went on this quest into a cave to find these gems, and he came across a troll. And he tried to sneak around the troll, but he couldn't. And so he fought and he put up a good fight, but he killed the troll. And then he kept going into this cave, and then he saw a bunch of goblins. And he tried to flee, but they chased him. And then he found this tunnel, a small tunnel, and it led into an even smaller cavern. And then in the wall of this little cavern, he saw the gems that are the size of his head. 3 of them. There was an emerald, a diamond, and a ruby. And he went and he had his pickaxe in his hand, and he went to go get him, and then the emerald was like, "Hey, I'm the Emerald of Strength. What have you done to earn me?" And he's like, "With this mighty arm, I slayed a troll." And he's like, "Okay." And then the diamond is like, "I am the diamond of intelligence. What have you done to earn me?" And he said, "I just outwitted a bunch of goblins, fleeing them, and found this place, so pretty intelligent." And then it's just like, "Okay, cool." And then the ruby was like, "I am the ruby of charisma. What have you done to earn me?" And he's like, "Well, I got a bunch of dwarflings, and here seeking this, something like that." And yeah, you were like, "Okay, cool. That's I guess that's good enough." And yeah, that's the story of my brother, the dwarf, the minor dwarf, Farlatok. Yeah.
Darb here to tell you a story of my brother, my brother Farlatok. Farlatok, he's a cool dwarf guy. He's a miner. He went to the tavern one day, and he met this stranger in starlit robe. Starlit, I think, is what it was. And the stranger told him about these 3 gems, because he also goes and gets gems too, because that's what miners do. And he told them about these 3 gems the size of his head, and to find them in this cave. So Farlatok goes, and you go get those gems, and then starts to venture off. He ventures off through this forest, where he finds a troll, and he tries to get past it, and then he actually has to fight it. And he's a strong dude, so he slays this troll, and nothing's going to stop his determination. So he just goes and carries on and finds the cavern that the starlit stranger was talking about, and starlit robes. And he ventures in, and he's all sneaky stuff, and he eventually finds some goblins, and the goblins chase him, and he's like, "Oh no!" And then he's very quick, he's very smart, and he dodges and finds inside part of this small cavern. There's this like fake wall or something, and then he slips in to this even smaller cavernous part of it, and lo and behold, he finds the 3 diamonds the size of or the 3 gems the size of his head. It actually ends up being an emerald, a diamond, and a ruby. So he takes out his pickaxe and he goes to start mining, and right before he hits it, the emerald goes, "Oh, I am the Emerald of Strength. What have you done to deserve me?" And he goes, "Well, I just slayed a troll." And the emerald goes, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." So he gets that, and then he goes to the diamond, and he goes, "I am the Diamond of Intelligence. What have you done to deserve me?" And he goes, well, I just outsmarted some goblins to get here, so that's pretty cool." And Diamond goes, "Okay, yeah, why not, sure." And then he goes to get the ruby, and it's like, "I am the Ruby of Charisma. What have you done to deserve me?" And I don't know what even happened in the last part, but I have no idea what goes here. But eventually the ruby goes, "Oh, yeah, sure." And so he gets that, and I have no idea if he's still stuck in the cave, but that's my brother Farlatok. He's somewhere.
Hello, King Dragonforge here, except I'm on holiday right now, so casual dress. So this is the story of Farnanok, and one day he popped down to the tavern, as you do, and he bumped into a mysterious stranger in robes of scarlet. And he said, "I have a quest for thee. You must venture to find 3 mystical gems, each the size of your head." And Farlock was like, "Oh, that sounds pretty nice, actually. I'm a dwarf, and I like mystical gems. I like to mine them with my battle axe. Ah!" So off he went. Somehow he knew where to go, so he wandered into the forest. And a troll jumped out and said, "You have to fight me." And so he fought him, and he won. And he said, "Oh, that was incredibly easy." So he kept on walking into the forest. That's where he came across a cabin full of goblins. So he said, "Go away, nasty goblins." And they did go away. So he went into the goblin's cabin, and inside was a smaller cabin. That's where he saw the 3 mystical gems: an emerald, a diamond, and a ruby. Now, they weren't just the size of heads. They were heads, and they began to speak. The emerald said, "What hast thou done to deserve me, Farmer Lock?" He said, "Well, I killed a troll." And the emerald's like, "Yeah, that works for me." Then the diamond said, "What have you done to deserve me? Have you done anything intelligent lately?" And he said, "Well, I made those nasty goblins go away." So the diamond's like, "Oh, fair enough. Yeah." Finally, the ruby says, "Have you done anything charismatic to deserve me?" And he said, "Yeah, probably." And the ruby was so impressed at his charisma in delivering a non-answer, he delivered it with such confidence that Ruby was like, "Fair enough, yeah, you do deserve me." So then he went home with his 3 gems, and he lived happily ever after. The moral of the story is, it's really easy to lie to gems.
Hey, how you doing? Here to tell you about the story of Farlanok the dwarf. He was at a tavern one time. He was talking with this dude with his cloak. He told him about these 3 different gems about the size of his own head. Farlanok's like, I'm going to get me some of those. So he set off on himself a quest. On that quest, he encountered a troll, and he beat the troll. And he shuffled on a little bit more. Zoe! And after he did that, he encountered some goblins. I believe he fought and killed the goblins, and at that point he went into one of them their huts, and he found 3 of the rubies, or 3 of the gems, which one was a ruby, one was a sapphire, and one was a diamond. It was a diamond. They all floated up in the air after they approached him, and they all said stuff. They talking diamonds. Zoe! At which point, the diamond sparked up and said, "What have you done to deserve me?" That was strength-based. Farlanok thought for half a second and thought, I'll beat that there troll. Yeah, but that was good enough for the diamond. Diamond's like, sold. Next is the ruby. The ruby's like, what have you done that was good? What have you done that was good? And he's like, goblins are evil, and I stomp them, so that makes me good, and I stomp them goblins, them evil goblins. And Ruby's like, fuck it, okay, yeah, I'm into it, and so he gets the ruby, and then the sapphire comes around, and goes, what have you done charismatically to deserve me? And Farlanok thinks for half a second, and he goes, I think I've done a bunch of stuff here that make me deserving of you. And he said that was just such offhanded charismatic that Sapphire's like, done. And so they both jumped into his pack, and he went about his merry way, 3 giant gems richer. That's my story.
Alright, I'm on break at work, so I'm going to try to make this really quick. So there's this tale about a dwarf named Farlanok, who one day went into a bar and had a conversation with another tavern mate, who spun him a tale about this quest to obtain 3 jewels, a ruby, a sapphire, and a diamond. Anyways, the first leg of his journey, he says, he came across a troll, a big, nasty, gnarly troll who threatened to do some smashing on Farlanok, and Farlanok said, hell no, I'm gonna beat you up, and kicked him out of his way, and showed him no mercy. And then, after moving on from the troll, he came across a group of goblins, and these goblins were not nice goblins. They wanted to take his money and make him destitute. In any case, he wasn't having any of that, smacked him around, and kept moving on. He came across this village where there was a hut, and he knew instinctively, he had to go inside this hut to find these 3 jewels that he was after. So Farlanak kicked the door open, walked in, and saw these jewels. And as soon as he went through the threshold of the door, the jewels mysteriously floated up into the air. And one of them talked to him. The diamond spoke first, and it said, "Hey, Farlanak the dwarf, what makes you so worthy? What have you done that makes you worthy of me?" And Farlanak says, "Well, I've taken out a troll to get here, so I think that's pretty worthy." So Diamond says, "All right, good enough." And Ruby speaks up next, and he says, or the Ruby says, "What have you done that is benevolent recently to have earned me?" And so Farlanak scratches his chin and looks up at the ceiling, and he says, "Well, you know, I took out some evil goblins. They were trying to take my money, and I'm sure they would have done it to somebody else too if I hadn't stopped them." So the Ruby says, "Okay, that's a pretty good explanation. I'll take that." So the Ruby relinquishes itself to Farlanak, and Farlanak finally turns his attention to the Sapphire, which was last to speak. And the Sapphire asks Farlanak, the Sapphire says, "What have you done that was what have you done that was pure, that you would be worthy of me?" And so Farlanak scratches his chin and he says, or charismatically awesome, to have earned me. And Farlanak really had to think about this one. He says, "Well, I went on this quest, and now I'm going to have all the opportunities in the world to go around to these bars and tell all the ladies about it, and all these other dwarfs and whatnot." And so the Sapphire says, "Yeah, that's going to bring you a lot of charisma." That's the tale from the guy at the bar with Farlanak the dwarf. Thank you.
Alright, this is Lord Taraka signing in for Narrative Telephone. As is the words of Lord Taraka, they are 100% accurate and factual and irrefutable. Alright, so this is a tale of Farlanak the dwarf. So, Farlanak the dwarf was out drinking in a tavern with a fellow barmaid. He was telling this tale about how there were these 3 gems, the diamond, the ruby, and the sapphire. And he figured, hey, why the hell not? I'll go for the gems, get famous. So, Farlanak the dwarf goes off towards the gems on this incredible journey. Along the way, he came across this great trog. Now, the trog was big, smelly, and strong, and wanted to pulverize him for crossing into his territory. So, Farlanak, being in the way he is in his dwarfy self, managed to kick the trogs behind to Kingdom Come and defeated him. Moving on, he proceeded on his journey, until he was beset on by a pack of evil goblins who said to leave him destitute and other destitutes of means. So, not just wanting to lose all of his riches, Farlanak decided to kick their butts as well and defeated them. Proceeding from there, he finally came upon this cabin. Stepping in, he found the 3 gems, the diamond, the ruby, and the sapphire, floating up into the air and began speaking to him. The diamond spoke first, saying, "What makes you think you are so mighty to have earned me?" Farlanak's like, well, I did beat a troll, and the trog was pretty mighty itself, so beating that makes me worthy. Diamond's like, okay, I get it. The ruby said, "What makes you think you are so good as to have deserved me?" And Farlanak was like, well, there was this gang of evil goblins. If they didn't beset upon me and I didn't defeat them, they would have probably have ganged up on someone else, so that's pretty good stuff too. The Ruby's like, okay, I'll give you that one. You've earned me. And the Sapphire was like, what makes you think you are so pure and so charismatic to have earned me? Farlanak thought deep and long about this one, and finally answered, well, if I earn you, I'll be going back and celebrating my riches and my exploits in the tavern, showing off to all the pretty girls and boasting to all the other dwarves. Ruby's like, okay, yeah, you got me. You burned me. And there you have it. And that is the tale of how Farlanok the dwarf earned the 3 gems.
Wantus here to tell you about my dwarven brother Farlatok. Now, Farlatok was a miner who mostly mined coal, but sometimes he liked to look for gems. And one night, he went into a tavern and met with a man in scarlet robes. And this man told him about 3 gems the size of his head. And he wanted to go on a quest to find them. So he went into this cave, and he came across a troll. And he tried to sneak around the troll to no avail. And so he started fighting with the troll, and the troll put up a grand fight. But eventually he was defeated. And the man, Farlatok, he moved on and down into the cave, and then he came across a bunch of goblins. And he tried to flee, but the goblins saw him and they gave chase. And so he ran, and he found a little tunnel. He found a tiny tunnel and an even smaller cavern beyond that tunnel. And in the wall of this tiny cavern were the 3 gems he was looking for, that they were the size of his head. And then he, pickaxe in hand, he went up to one of the gems, the emerald. There was an emerald, and there was a diamond and a ruby. He went up to the emerald, and the emerald said, "Hey, stop! What have you done to deserve me, the emerald of strength?" And he's like, "Well, I slayed a mighty troll, and, with my giant arm." And then he's like, "Oh, all right, cool." And so then he went up to the diamond. The diamond said, "I am the diamond of intelligence. What have you done to deserve me?" And he said, "I just outwitted a bunch of goblins running and finding this cavern right here. And I found it. I found you, so I'm pretty intelligent." And the diamond said, "Okay, fine." And then he went up to the ruby, and the ruby is like, "I am the ruby of charisma. What have you done to deserve me?" He's like, "Well, I got a bunch of dwarflings at home, and I'm a miner and such, and I went on this quest, and I found you, and I'm very charismatic, okay?" He's like, "All right, cool. That works." And then he won, and that is the story of the mighty dwarf, my brother Farlatok.